What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the Board Game Sensei YouTube channel. I'm your boy Nick, and guys, today I have another video for you. Today I'm going to pull out an oldie but a goodie for me, and a game that I haven't played in a long time, but I've played over 100 times here at the dojo, or at the old dojo, I should say. But let me tell you, I want to create for you a beginner strategy guide. I hope you guys enjoy this video. But look, if you like what you see, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, or don't do it at all. But I'm super excited to create this video for you. So let's get right into the strategy guide, and we'll go on with tip number 1. So one thing I think you should remember, especially in Ark Nova, right, is the first thing you need to understand. It isn't about the biggest zoo. It is far from that. This is a race, not necessarily an engine builder. Although there's engine building inside the game, I personally believe that Ark Nova is a race to get that appeal to cross over and get that conservation to cross each other before the other players. And you're trying to move your appeal marker, move that conservation marker, cross those markers, and see who can get there the fastest. But the goal is to always keep those tracks moving. So that is why this is a race, not an engine builder. Now let's see how we can keep those tracks moving by going to tip number 2. So one of the easiest mistakes to make in playing Ark Nova is filling your zoo with empty enclosures. Now I have done this time and time again where I'll be playing Ark Nova, I don't feel like that I'm doing anything, and finally I recognize, oh hey, I can just build an enclosure. But here's the problem with that. If you just build enclosures without doing anything, then you can really mess yourself up when it comes to the long game. So don't build just because you can. Before you build anything, ask yourself one question. Do I already have an animal in my hand that I can play, that can move in as soon as I get this, or in after I build this enclosure? If not, then don't just build it because you feel like you can build it. Because in the long run, it's going to really mess you up, and it will slow down your tempo of the game and what you should be doing. So don't just build enclosures because you can. I promise you, there's more that you can do that will help you in the game, rather than just build that enclosure just because you have the money to do it. Save that money. Money is a precious resource in Ark Nova, so you really want to save that money so that way you can do stuff like play animals and buy certain things from the market and stuff like that. But please don't just build because you can. It will mess you up in a heartbeat. Now, let's go to tip number 3, and I think this is a pretty important one. If you're unsure which action card to upgrade first in Ark Nova, I almost always recommend Association. Why? Because it gives you another worker. So you have 3 workers in Ark Nova. You already start with 1, and then you have 4 technically. You already start with 1, and you have 3 more that you can unlock. But always upgrade the Association action because it gives you another worker, right? That you can do, or that you can get. But not only that, but you want to get those workers as fast as you can, because that extra worker lets you visit more universities, lets you create more partnerships, and you can complete more conservation projects, which is great and fantastic. So try to strategize in such a way to where you are getting workers as fast as you can, so that way you can do more things to get your zoo up and running and to be more efficient at it than other players. So let's go to tip number 4, and this is one that I struggled with that really bothered me. And now playing it 100 times, I've gotten better. But let's go to tip number 4. So for this tip, it is super important, especially in super competitive games of Ark Nova. If you're playing on BGA or if you're playing with super competitive people, don't collect every cool animal. We've all done it, right? You draw an elephant, you draw a lion, you draw a panda, and suddenly your hand is full of animals that you just can't play, or doesn't fit well, or that you won't ever play with your strategy. Instead of collecting everything, keep the cards that actually fit your strategy. Every card in your hand that you have should always have a purpose. If it doesn't, you don't need the card, right? So always don't collect animals that are just cool, right? Because it can really put you behind, and you'll be so far behind, and you'll wonder what happened. And it's because you do what I always like to do, because I see all the really cool animals. You collect animals in your hand, and you can't play them because it doesn't. Well, you can, but it doesn't fit with your strategy, so you're not synergizing like you should. So let's go to tip number 5. And since I already talked about synergy, let's talk about synergy. So as I said in the last tip, the strongest zoo isn't filled with the biggest animals or the coolest animals, or whatever it may be. They're filled with animals that work together. Maybe they all share the same continent. Maybe they're all predators. Maybe they're all herbivores. Maybe they're all lizards, or or reptiles rather. Maybe they're all birds. Whatever it may be, maybe they help complete the same conservation project, which can get you those conservation points that you need to cross the other side of the appeal. But those little connections are where the real points come from. Is you want to make sure that you're building around your synergy, and please, 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 always make sure that you are building your synergy rather than collecting the really cool animals that we talked about last time, right? So let's go to tip 6, and this one is pretty much in every strategy board game that I would recommend. So for tip 6, and this is one that honestly I would say for every strategy game that I may come out with a strategy guide for, but for especially Ark Nova, you should think 2 turns ahead. The action card system, right, in Ark Nova is what makes Ark Nova so unique and so special. After using a card, what does it do? It drops a card all the way to the back to strength 1. That means every action that you do will affect your future turns. So sometimes it's actually better to wait 1 turn so your animal action reaches strength 5 before playing an expensive elephant. Why? Well, because you can play 2 animals at that time, right? Especially if you have it upgraded and stuff like that. Always think about where your cards will be, not just where they are now, because that is going to really help you in the late game and even in the mid game to get those animals out when you need them, get those sponsors out when you need them, and also to for the association actions and stuff like that. It's really going to be a help for you, especially if you have your association on the fifth power slot there. You can use it, and man, it's going to make a big difference. So always think 2 turns ahead, and always make sure that everything's synergizing together so you don't get stuck when it comes to those mid-game, late-game plays. So let's go to tip number 7. So this is one that, if you're not careful, it'll sneak up on you, and you'll see good players at Ark Nova sneak up on you, and really you can win games this way. But new players, especially me, I used to ignore this all the time, but new players often ignore the reputation track. Reputation is secretly amazing in this game. Don't ignore it. Higher reputation gives you access to better cards in the display before everyone else. And if you're higher on the reputation track rather than lower before everyone else is, you have the advantage of getting better cards than they have. And the more card choices for you means that you have better combos. And better combos usually mean more points. So you can get that appeal and that conservation to cross over faster than other players. So look, tip 7, please don't ignore the reputation track, because you will regret it in the long game or even in the mid. And honestly, you'll regret it in the early game too. So don't ignore the reputation track. Now let's go to number 8. If there's one tip you remember from this whole video, let it be this one, right? Start conservation early. Early conservation rewards can be incredibly powerful. You'll unlock upgraded action cards, you'll unlock extra workers, you can get universities and even more, especially when you're going up that track, and for the first like 5 or 6 slots of the conservation, or the first few slots of the conservation, you start to get bonuses, and you really want to make sure that you have those, because they really will come in handy there. Those bonuses will make the rest of the game so much easier for you. So please start your conservation early. Don't ignore it. Look, I think a lot of times, especially new players to Ark Nova, will focus on the appeal because they feel like they're scoring big points. But it can get you, because it takes a whole lot longer for your appeal to go around that track rather than making your appeal and your conservation meet each other because by the time your appeal goes around that track and you're still down here at the very first spot of the conservation track, you're going to be so much farther behind than you think you would have been, and it's really going to mess with you. So look, start your conservation early, get as many conservation cards conservation cards done as you can, and really work that strategy in. So that is tip number 8. Now we got 2 more. I got 2 more tips for you, and tip number 9 is super, super important. So I told you at the beginning of the video how money is really important before you end this game, right? So spend your money efficiently. Money disappears really fast in Ark Nova. Don't buy something just because you can afford it. That will put you behind in a game of Ark Nova. Every dollar that you spend in Ark Nova should help you accomplish your next goal in the game. A smaller animal that fits your strategy, maybe an appeal marker or a kiosk that you can use to help increase your income in the game. Usually those will always help you and can be very beneficial in a game of Ark Nova. But a smaller animal that fits your strategy is often a much better purchase than an expensive animal that doesn't, because it can give you cool points, it can do things for you that can help you, and it can really speed you along that track, especially either the conservation or the appeal track, and it can really help you. Now let's go to the last tip, and I'll give you my conclusion thoughts. Now, I have found that the biggest mistake beginners make is deciding on a strategy before the game even starts. That is one of the biggest mistakes you can make, especially in Ark Nova. Ark Nova has hundreds of unique cards, 250 unique cards. If you add the expansion, it adds a little bit more, right? Hundreds of unique cards. The cards you draw should influence your plan. If not, you got to figure something out. Maybe you wanted to build a reptile zoo, but you don't have the reptile cards that you need, or the reptile sponsors, or whatever, or even the reptile conservation projects that you need. But then you draw amazing bird cards and conservation projects that reward birds. Tip number 10, stay flexible. Adapt. The best players, especially the ones I've played against, they don't force a strategy. Oh, I want to play all these monkeys. I want to make sure I have all these reptiles or carnivores or predators rather, or whatever. I want to make sure I have these. I want to make this strategy. You can't force your strategy in Ark Nova. You will lose games faster that way than you would just purchasing buildings and enclosures to waste money. You will lose games so fast if you don't adapt to the game. The game doesn't adapt to you. This game can be brutal at times. You have to adapt to the game. You have to build around the opportunities the game gives you, right? If you don't do that, you could totally blow the game, and it could really be a bad time for you. So let's go to my final thoughts. So Ark Nova can definitely feel overwhelming at first, right? I mean, with all the cards, with all the strategies that is provided, but once you realize it's a game about efficiency and who can make the most efficient engine, who's the fastest at getting to that appeal and that conservation track and whatever it may be, instead of simply just collecting animals and building enclosures, everything for you will start to click. Remember these 5 things, right? Build with purpose, upgrade association early. You have to, I'm telling you, it will make, trust me, try it. Just try it. Upgrade association early. Look for as many synergies as you can that will go with what you're doing. And then complete conservation projects as soon as you can, because those are going to be huge for you. And always think of a couple turns ahead. And I promise you, you will have a great time at this game, and you will win more games of Ark Nova. And if you can do those things, you'll be ahead of most new players after just a few games. And I can guarantee you that after 115, 120 games of playing Ark Nova, look, I'm no master at the game by all means, but these are some of the strategies that I have found that has helped me become a better player at Ark Nova. Look, if you enjoyed this guide, I'm hoping to get some more out in the future on some cooperative games and more competitive games and games that I've just played a lot and I really, really enjoy. But if you like what you see, hit the like button, subscribe button, bell notification, or don't do it at all. Again, I'm just glad you guys are watching. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.